Welcome back to the Life Well Balanced podcast. Today I'm joined by Dr. John Schellenberg, a chiropractor, mindset mentor, and expert in neuro emotional technique, identity work, and the superconscious mind. John's story is a powerful reminder that healing isn't just physical, it's emotional, mental, and deeply personal. From helping hundreds transform their health to teaching people how to rewire their subconscious patterns, his work challenges how we think about change and what's actually holding us back. In this episode, we explore how emotional trauma gets stored in the body and how to release it, why most weight loss journeys fail. Hint, it's not just about food and exercise. The power of identity recoding to unlock real, lasting change, and how to shift from problem-solving mode into true creative flow. Whether you're feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or simply ready to create something new in your life, this conversation will give you the mindset tools to begin. So take a breath, open your heart, and settle in. This is the Life Well Balanced podcast with Dr. John Schellenberg and me, your host, Nick Houpt. We're also sponsored by IV Lux Infusion, a luxury mobile IV hydration service that brings wellness straight to your doorstep. Whether you're recovering from a long weekend, preparing for peak performance, or just need a boost, their licensed medical professionals deliver hydration and nutrients tailored to your body's needs. Think of it as a premium self-care administered safely and comfortably wherever you are. IV Lux Infusion, wellness redefined. Book your session today at ivluxinfusion.com. And don't forget to use the promo code LifeWellBalanced. This is the Life Well Balanced podcast with me, your host, Nick Houpt.
A life well balanced for me.
For me, a life well balanced is simply
Life well balanced is.
I think a life well balanced is
Dr. John Schellenberg. It is good to see you, man.
Hey, man. Likewise.
I'm so excited to have you here. As I said to you, you are the first guest that I did not know. And so this is
It's
really
an honor.
cool. And so we grabbed coffee yesterday and I just got super excited to have you in here. And it was great that we got coffee yesterday and then here you are today and we're just feeding off that energy. And I am just so happy to have you here, my man.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. And it's an honor to be your first guest and to hang out with you on the yellow chairs.
Yeah,
these are fun.
These are
man.
great. I love the
These
chairs.
are awesome.
And I just want to start with acknowledging you. We haven't known each other very long at all, but I can just tell with your energy, how you carry yourself, what I truly appreciate about you is your enjoyment for life and the goofiness you bring out. And I can guarantee you there is not a room you walk into without putting a smile on people's faces. So I want to acknowledge you for that.
Wow. Thank you. That's probably one of the nicest compliments I've ever
Awesome.
heard, especially from someone I've known 21 hours. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Awesome. So what we start with is a who, what, and why. And it's a very big question, but we start with it because we love big questions to bring big answers, and it leads us walking right down the lane of learning the best and most about you and delivering our listeners the best content we possibly can. So who has inspired you throughout your life to bring you to the man you are today? What experiences have you been through that shaped and molded you into you? And why do you do what you do?
Man, that is a huge question. So who has influenced me? Oh my goodness. The first name that popped into my head is Dr. John DeMartini. And you can look him up, probably demartini.com. He's probably one of the first major influences in my life. Taught me some unbelievable things. And I hear myself still saying some of the things that I learned from John over the years. I've studied from so many incredible people. Dr. Scott Walker, he's the father of Neuro Emotional Technique, was massively influential in my life. My good friend and first mentor in practice, Dr. Keith Thompson. Love that man. His health is struggling right now. But it's interesting because, There's certain people in your life that they guide you in a certain way. And if you follow that, it's never bad. Like it's always massively influential. And so, he was another one of them. And, one of the most current mentors of mine is Christopher M. Duncan. He lives in Australia. He's from New Zealand. He teaches a process called the magnetic mind and the superconscious recode. And that's been something that's been unbelievably life-changing for me. And probably the most influential person from a spiritual standpoint in my life has been Dr. Ken Wapnick, who is the teacher of A Course in Miracles.
Okay, so what experiences brought you into where you're at today?
How much time do we have?
I know, everyone says that.
Yeah. I think just to keep it brief, the experiences, I always knew from a young age, I always wanted to be in like a helping profession or something. Interesting, I wanted to be an optometrist and they didn't want me. So that shaped my path. It pushed me off a particular path. I discovered
They didn't see your vision?
they didn't, they thought, nah, this guy's a clown. We don't want him in our profession or something. So, and it was a blessing, and it pushed me, it directed me, I should say, into the field of chiropractic, which has been wonderful. My goodness, how many experiences have I had there? I've had practices in 5 or 6 different places, but I always wanted to get deeper with people and really understand what's going on with them underneath it, underneath the symptom, for example. And so that led me to other experiences like learning and certifying in a lot of different healing modalities. I went to a John Demartini seminar in 2003. It was a 7-day long prophecy experience. It was called Prophecy with 7 Days. And that was probably one of the most influential experiences of my life because I met my wife.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was one of those moments where, sitting across the room, like, where have you been all my life sort of thing, And it totally changed the entire course of my life.
Yeah. That's like my wife too. I'm a very, I don't want to say high strung, but high energy. And I'm always do, get this done. And then my wife is just this very calm person. And she helped change the trajectory of helping me be more present and being the version of myself that I am today to now my brand is presence and self-awareness and that kind of stuff. So it's really cool that you end up in these places where you don't see what's going to happen. And we're going to talk about this because we were going on and on about it yesterday. You don't really know what's going to happen. You have this plan, and your plan was to go to this prophecy retreat seminar, and you ended up walking out with the love of your life. That's pretty cool.
Unbelievable.
Let's talk about how plans change, because you're a big proponent on that, because you're all about recoding the brain and your thought process, your self-awareness. When someone's sitting here listening and they're looking to make some changes in their life, especially let's gear it toward weight loss, because you have this full program around weight loss, but it's really more so around the mindset and the identity around weight loss. So if I'm someone that's looking to make these changes and I've had a plan over and over and I stay the same, or I make moves a little further ahead and then I swing back around, what is something you would tell that person?
That's a great question. It's a loaded question.
Yeah.
Because it actually is one of the experiences that I had was I discovered this thing called ChiroThin back in 2014. I added weight loss to my chiropractic practice. And I did it accidentally. I didn't really mean to do it. I didn't want to do it. It was my friend Keith. We had a conversation and I said, hey, what's new? He says, well, I lost 44 pounds in 42 days. And I said, you don't do that. What are you talking about? And he goes, oh yeah, I did. Absolutely. And of course I believe him. And I go, well, tell me about it. And so I called this company and I talked to the owner and I said, well, send me one. I'm going to try it. I could lose 15, 20 pounds. And I ended up losing 40. And my patients were like, well, what in the heck are you doing? Like, just sign me up. And, as a chiropractor, you arm wrestle somebody to get them to understand why they need their atlas adjusted. And, I've done that for 15 years at that time. And all of a sudden people are like, just sign me up. And I'm like, okay, this is an interesting experience. And so I have done that successfully with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people over the years. But to your point and to your question, what I observed, and I thought I had the holy grail because I'm in level 2 certified Neuro Emotional Technique, which is an extremely powerful technique to get to the underlying emotions of literally anything. What's underneath it emotionally? And we have an asking technique in order to get to it. I mean, quite frankly, it's nothing short of mind-boggling. And still, I've done tens of thousands of sessions. I still get surprised at what I see. I'm fascinated by it. And so I integrated that into the weight loss process. And I thought, this is it, man. This is it. And what I found was that, yeah, we could help uncover and take unresolved emotions through extinction, which is what NET helps us do, Neuro Emotional Technique. But it never changed the identity. It never changed the person's unconscious. And so what we've discovered is that, as it pertains to weight loss, everyone can lose weight. I mean, that's not the problem. In fact, everybody loses weight overnight. You just prove it to yourself. Weigh yourself at night and then go to sleep, get up in the morning, weigh yourself, you're 2 or 3 pounds lighter, right? There's a part of the body that's going to allow that to happen because we have to keep ourselves alive. And that just takes, biological currency, calories and so forth, stored fat, etc. But that weight comes back during the day. And so when we create a plan that says, okay, we have this current situation and we want it to be different, we create a plan and we take an action and it sets up tension. And as you start to approach that tension drops off. And that's literally the unconscious mind. Just saying, whatever I've survived in the past, whatever experience I've had, whatever obesity I've had, whatever trauma, drama, abuse I've had, scarcity, et cetera, well, I know I've survived it, so here I am. And it validates that I've survived it. So it's going to recreate the same similar set of situations. In fact, we can create what we call an isomorphic state in someone today and take them back to when it actually began and start to shift it and change it.
What is that?
An isomorphic state is, well, it's a process that we do actually with our participants. But it's in this work, we create structure. You need to have a creative structure. Everybody's in problem orientation, right? We're in a problem situation. I've been a doctor since 1999 when I graduated. And, so people come to you, they go, hey, well, what's wrong? What's the problem? Someone says, well, I don't have a problem. Get out of here. So we're always in a problem orientation. Our whole life, everything is set up in a problem orientation. And so what you get more, we get more of what we focus on. Think about this, right? You want to go and buy some kind of a blue Tesla. You think you want to buy a Tesla. Then all of a sudden you start seeing Teslas everywhere, right?
That reticular activating system.
We get more of what we focus on. And so to that point, if we're focusing on fixing our problems, we're going to get more problems to fix. So this process, and I'll get back to the isomorphic piece in a minute, is we all think that we're, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever, 70 years old, and we've got all these experiences and dramas and traumas packed up in a trailer full of baggage that we drag behind us everywhere. And then we're like, okay, well, now I want to create a better situation or a better life for myself. Well, how am I going to do that if I don't fix myself? And we think we have to fix all the problems. And the truth is we don't. You don't have to fix anything. You just need to get in a creative structure. So success and failure, whether it's weight loss or financial gain or relationships, isn't personal. It's structural. So the structure we create is saying, okay, well, look, you're the youngest you are right now in this moment for the rest of your life. What do you want to create? Now, what problem do you want to solve? What do you want to create? What would you love? Absolutely freaking love. That's the structure that we create. So we go into this state and bring somebody into the state of, well, what is it? First of all, that's the hardest question people have to answer. What would you love? What do you want to create? What? And people are like, I have no idea. But you have to think about it as, and I shared this with you guys yesterday, you have to think about it like life is this, it's like a buffet line. And you have all the best chefs in the world bringing their plate, their dish. And you can pick anything you want, anything. You're allowed to, but you can't have it all.
Mm-hmm.
You can't eat it all, but you can pick anything you want off that table. All right. So that's the first thing is you got to figure out what you want. Understand the what. So and I won't go through the whole asking process because there's several questions that we ask in order to determine, what that is. And we elicit a certain response in somebody. And then we get to a point and it says, I'll speak that back to them and say, so this is what you want. And this is what it'll do for you. And this is how you'll know you'll have it. And what stops you? And there's a physiological response every time. Well, what is that? And we can put you in, like your eyes will go here, your breath will go, and I can put you manually or physically back in that same state. And it'll take you to a spot in your life earlier where that's actually started. It's isomorphic. It's the same state.
So is it like a form of meditation or hypnosis or?
Neither. It's just a simple process. It's a simple asking process.
So what if someone is listening to what you're saying, and they're telling themselves, well, I'm not creative, so this won't even work for me because I'm not creative?
Well, their true nature and purpose. So there's four what we call basic visualizations, the core four. And your true nature and purpose is one of the core four. And our true nature as beings is we're creators.
Creativity.
We are creators. So for someone to say, I'm not creative, they're just simply denying their true nature.
Now, would that tie in with the programming and belief systems that they've had their entire life? Is that why they're saying they're not creative?
Yeah, more than likely. They're just in denial.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's been a set of beliefs that they've been given. And our beliefs, most of us have been programmed by the time we're 7 years old. Mm-hmm. And I always joked with my kids and I'd say, well, you're about 7 now. I'm almost done screwing you up.
Yeah. I say to my wife, I'm like, I don't know if this is going to psychologically mess my little girl
Guaranteed.
Up or not.
Guaranteed. I'm already thinking, I can see it. I see that program setting in my kids. And I'm like, okay, we need to undo that. But yeah, we gain our beliefs, our worldviews, our beliefs, our definitions and these things. They come from other people. They're not even ours. And it's interesting because if you think about it, there's this random set of probabilities that we adopt from our past that are our belief set. And then we project them onto an infinite amount or a set of probabilities. And we project that limited set onto an infinite set and thinking, now I'm frustrated that my life isn't what I wanted.
Yeah. Now, are you familiar with Michael Singer?
I'm not.
So he wrote The Untethered Soul as one of his books.
Okay.
And he talks a lot about that and our mindset and the spirituality piece of it and limiting ourselves. And so what I want to touch on is you were mentioning about weighing the options of two different things that you're focusing on. Your example before off camera was being an entrepreneur and being an employee. Can we dive into what you were saying with that stuff about how you weigh those options and how each one has its own benefits and no benefits or drawbacks?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and we're gonna give you the great discovery here because this is
whatever example.
This is the discovery I got from John DeMartini. This is the great discovery. It's amazing, and if you really hear this, it can shift massively your life.
It was an aha moment for Olivia and I yesterday.
So and we talked about that example where I said, okay, well, so if you're in a job, and this is funny, right? Because you always think the grass is greener somewhere else. So if you're in a job, you're like, oh man, I hate my job. And how many people have I run into in my life go, I hate my job? And this is important because language is for us. If you ever hear somebody say, my job is killing me, guess what it is doing? It is killing you. So listen to that. Okay, so anyways, that's an aside. Sorry. You're in a job, you don't like your job. You go, man, I want to go and start my own business. Hey, now, people who are in a job think that entrepreneurs starting their own business have got it made. And the entrepreneurs are like, man, sometimes I wish I just had a job. Okay, so we break that down on both sides of that equation. There's an equal number of benefits and drawbacks to being in a job, and we can list them. I mean, we can, it's pretty easy to list them. And there's an equal number of benefits and drawbacks to being an entrepreneur. Okay? But they're different form. They're equal. They have to be equal because the law of charge parity says for every positive charge, there's an opposite and equal negative charge, right? For every positive, there's a negative. And Einstein said that consciousness is simply a cloud of charged particles. That's it, right? So you can't have an extra positive than a negative, otherwise it would all implode.
I never thought about it.
So the law of charge parity says there has to be a negative for every positive. So for every benefit of being in a job, there's also a negative or a drawback. And so they have to be equal. If they're not, then you're in a lopsided perception. We're seeing more benefits than negatives. Doesn't mean there are. It just means that's what you're seeing. It's not true. And conversely, on the side of the entrepreneur, you can say, okay, well, there's more benefits to being an entrepreneur than there are drawbacks. And, you're just living in a lopsided perception. So the truth is that decision A or decision B are equal. And you get to choose, as a decision maker, we get to choose which form of the benefits and drawbacks we want to take. And the great discovery is you can't screw up.
I always talk about, in some of my talks recently, I talk about how we try and control everything. And it's like when you're speeding up in a car and hurrying and you're weaving in and out of traffic, and then you end up at the same light as the slow car that you were yelling at behind you. And I think that life is just like that, to where you try and take control, and the more you hold on to it, I said to my co-author, I said, it's like a little kid with an animal just squeezing it. And the more you hold on to controlling life, the harder it is for you. So how does someone see that they're lopsided in their perception and start to make some gradual changes to shift into becoming who they want to be?
Well, that's another great question. I think it's just it's a simple practice of, getting a piece of paper and a pen, actually doing it, right? Writing it. List your benefits and list your drawbacks and make them equal. If they're not equal, work till they're equal. And then you get to a place of neutrality. And when you're in a place of neutrality, then you can just say, what would I love? And then you create it. Then you get in that creative structure. That's the creative structure that we talk about, which is we find out what would you love? And you want to create things just because the sake of loving them, because you want to, because you love it. Whether it's a relationship or a business or a job or a new body shape or weight. Relationship it's just whatever you would love. And then find out where you are. And so this is the formula. And results are inevitable. When you do a math formula, 4x equals 2, put the 4 on the other side, x equals 1/2. Right? It's just an inevitable result.
Doing math, I'm like, they're going to know
right.
I'm not smart.
Yeah, no. So the point is you get in structure, you find out what you want, you figure out where you are, you unpack some of your beliefs, you find out what's in the way, and you recode the resistance to taking the next action step.
So how do you recode? Is it, there's so many processes with visualizations and affirmations and meditations, and do you do all of it? Is there some things that are stronger than others to recode your brain? And how do you go about doing it?
So the process that Chris Duncan has studied many different people, and I love the guy because he always gives credit to all the people that whose shoulders he stood on, and his are shoulders I'm standing on, and others.
Hey, sorry for the interruption. I hope you are enjoying this episode. If you want to live a life well balanced, be sure to pick up our book, Tilting the Balance, a guided workbook for clarity, purpose, and transformation, available at tiltingthebalance.com. Now, back to your episode.
The process is learning how to get into the intuition and into the field, the superconscious field. There's 3 memories: the superconscious, the unconscious, and the self-conscious. The superconscious is the field of creation. It doesn't care. What would you love? We'll create it. Like, There's no feeling. It's just, I don't care. You want to be a millionaire? Okay. You want to be poor? Okay. We'll create it. The unconscious is the realm of feelings, right? And the unconscious is what's basically allowing or denying the creation from the superconscious. And the self-conscious, kind of like the ego, just questions. It's the realm of thought. So it thinks, oh, well, I would feel better. My life would be better if I lost 20 pounds. And the truth is the identity needs to be the same. And we need to see it in order to be it. And so the recode process says it's just simply get in structure, get in a creative structure. What do you want? Where are you now? What's in the way? Unplug, recode it using the superconscious commands that we use. It's not a meditative state. It is not a hypnotic state. It's just simply giving commands to the superconscious. It says, okay, fine. Let's start to choreograph the life now in order to create that which you would love.
Because you were talking about be, do, have. And people are usually saying, what, do, have, be, or have, do?
Have, do, be.
Have, do,
Once
be.
I have the body that I want, for example, then I'll go out and find a mate, and then I'll be happy. It's backwards.
And it should be...
It's backwards.
Be.
You do have. We have to be. So one of the questions that we ask the people in our process is, okay, so you have one of the other four cores visualizations, right? One is your true nature and purpose. One of the other ones, I'll just tell them. The second one, and they're not in any particular order, is I choose the end result of living the life that I love. And the other one is I choose to be the end result. I step into the end result of being the primary creator of my life. And the last one is choosing health and vitality, right? So once we've gotten into that end result of health and vitality, there's an identity that goes with that. And you ask yourself, well, what would the man or woman who I'm becoming do in this particular situation? Yeah.
And then you start carrying yourself as that person carries themselves. And what I do want to say too is when you are doing this, you have to feel it too. It's not just thinking, right?
100%.
So you have to think of this is what this person would do, or this is what I want. And then you have to feel what it's like to have that. I had a really crazy experience the other day. I don't know that I shared this with you. And my wife and I were driving down US 1. And I shared with you about quantum jumping and stuff, and I've been really looking into quantum jumping and everything. And we were driving down US 1, and one of these new Lexus SUVs was driving past us, and they're like real cool.
The GX550?
Yeah.
I saw two of them yesterday, and I've never seen one before.
That's because you were with me, because I'm putting it out in the universe.
Absolutely. I'm like, why am I seeing these today?
It's because we had coffee.
I love that.
You're like, there's Nick. And so this SUV comes driving past us, and I got this crazy feeling, and I felt myself in a new car. It smelled like a new car, and I smelled really good coffee, which is weird. And I pictured myself in a really nice sweater. I don't know why. It was so strange, but I was like in a nice sweater, and I smelled really good coffee, and I could smell a new car smell. And I was just engulfed in that feeling. And ever since then, now I'm seeing these Lexuses everywhere, and I'm like, that's my new car.
Yep.
That's my new car.
Yep.
So it's just crazy how you can experience things like that, because I think that people are so stuck in the physical part and not the metaphysical, right? Can you talk about the connection between the two? Like a little more of...
Well, yeah. I mean, anything that's created is created twice.
Okay. What do you mean?
It's created first in the invisible and then in the physical. And so the bridge, right, is our process to manifesting it. But the physical is the manifestation, and the metaphysical is the thought. It always everything starts with a thought. This microphone started with a thought, right? Your podcast started with a thought. Your book started with a thought. Everything, this building, everything here started with a thought. And then it was brought into the physical through action.
You know, it's funny you say that, because in the book we talk about that. And we give an example of how many times has something come out and you're like, I thought about that. but you didn't take action on it. And it was out there for someone else to implement action to make it happen.
Yeah.
And so that's just wild to me. It's really cool that the science is starting to back all this stuff up. So if I'm someone that is listening to this and I want to make these changes, what are just some slightly different things throughout my day, whether it's in a morning routine, an evening routine, to start helping me manifest better?
Well, I like your word routine. The biggest thing is identity.
That keeps coming up.
It is. I mean, and I'll give you an example. Oh, I was going to bring a prop. I forgot. But I have this little acorn because we live in North Florida and there's live oaks everywhere. So I have this acorn, right? And if you hold this acorn, if you plant this acorn, what can you grow? A maple tree?
An oak tree.
An oak tree. So you can't plant an acorn and grow a maple tree. The identity of that acorn is a forest of oak trees, because every piece of information to grow a forest of oak trees is contained in that one acorn. But you cannot grow a forest of maple trees from that acorn. You can't. So the identity is the most important part. And, there's a whole pyramid of identity. At the base is your environment, right? So hang around with 5 people, you'll be the average of those 5 people, right? Who you hang around, your external environment is the base. There's also the internal environment. What do you put in your body? Okay, obviously that's a big one for us. The next rung up are your behaviors, habits, your behaviors, right? Then the next rung would be your know-how, your capabilities, skills, right? And then on top of that is your beliefs about the world. And then there's the beliefs about yourselves. And then there's your feelings, your emotions. So to start to manifest, look at your identity. In fact, we do this really cool process called the identity matrix. And it's a really awesome practice. There's 9 boxes and we recode each box. And there's different aspects of your identity that you get to bring into your awareness. I obviously don't have time to go through this whole thing, and it's a bit of a process. But we actually do it in a room, and you stand and you move to these different boxes, and you bring that aspect back into your identity. So in order to start to manifest, we're always manifesting. Our current reality, our current experiences right now are being manifested. We are manifesting them. We've created everything we have right now based upon our beliefs and our identities and our resistance, and we've created all of it. And so, I think the first step to your question is to understand that we are creators and we are manifesting everything right now.
Good or bad.
Everything we're getting, we're literally creating. And so the first thing is to understand that, well, if I created this, then I can create something else, which goes back to the galactic meal train.
Yeah.
Pick what you want.
It's like I say, when you change the way you think, you change the way you feel. When you change the way you feel, you change the way you act. When you change the way you act, you change your life. And in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And man, this is awesome. You had mentioned what we're putting in our bodies too. And can we talk about nutrition? And with nutrition too, not just what we're eating, but also what we're putting on ourselves and everything. We've talked about red light therapy, and
of course,
I'm an affiliate with a PEMF mat and different things like that. So what kind of things this is kind of a basic question, but I feel like we need to dumb it down sometimes because we just get so distracted in the world we live in. What are some basic things we need to shift of what we're putting in our body, putting on our body, and not just on, but also in the mind too? Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Again, great loaded question. And it's surprising to me how uneducated we are as a country. I'm hoping that's changing. The very basics, drink more pure water.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you want to get ionized water, hydrogen water, okay, great. Just probably not city water, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and probably not just, the cheap bottled water that just who knows where it comes from. get some sort of a good water filtration system in your house. Because I mean, we're how many percent? 80%, 60%? I mean, you hear these different things. We're a large percentage. Our body's a large percentage of water. So the quality of the water we put in, which by the way, the signal for water, what it actually resonates at is joy.
Really?
Yeah. So if we're dehydrated,
Grumpy.
all the joy is sucked out of us, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So let's start with good, healthy water, right? Lose the sugary drinks. Oh my gosh, the high fructose corn syrup. I mean, I'm probably talking to the converted here, right? Maybe. I mean, you, yes, but I don't know about the listenership. But anything with high fructose corn sugar, anything with the sugary stuff. I mean, anything with dyes, get rid of it. Dyes create cancer, right? Sugar is a toxin to the body. It exists in, I don't know what, 70, 80, 90 different forms. Get educated on what it is that we're putting in our body. Food label reading is, if you can't pronounce it, generally, it's probably not a great idea to put it in our body. When you go shopping, stay around the outside. These are basics, right? But yeah. And honestly, we don't need to eat as much as we do. I've seen a study that was done a long time ago. I can't give you the reference, but I remember the caloric intake was 600 calories a day. And we function optimally on 600 calories a day. And I've done it. I've done it many times. And it's true. If we're, two things come to mind. Number one, if we're all a high-powered race car, you wouldn't put garbage gas in a high-powered race car, right. Number one. Number two, if you're a factory, the factory needs a break in order to retool and to clean and to do maintenance, right? So what I mean by that is if we're eating all the time, then the body doesn't have a moment to just kind of take a break. It's spending so much energy digesting. And when we can stop that conveyor belt, right, and of food coming in all the time, and just give the body a break from having to put so much time, energy, effort, energy, and blood into digestion, and now it can now put time, energy, and blood and so forth, ATP, into healing and regenerating. So just eat less and probably not as often. I love intermittent fasting. I mean, it's just such a great practice. And even if it's 12 hours to get started, don't eat for 12 hours. And that means nothing other than water,
My wife just did a 3-day fast. And she said after the first day, she started feeling fine. She wasn't super hungry. She didn't have that craving. And then when she did start eating again, she wasn't eating as much. She didn't feel the need to keep eating. And we've had a few people on here talking about blue zones and longevity and things like that. And I think in Japan, they were talking about just eat until you're 80% full and then be done. When you start feeling a little full, don't force it. And I think I have a friend of mine from the UK, and he's been on here, and he said, when I came to America, I didn't understand why they gave you so much food.
Yeah.
It's just so much. And so let's tie this, because what I want to talk about too is how your physical body holds stress. Going from your thoughts and beliefs and what you're holding on to and how it gives you physical pain. You want to talk about that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the NET work that I've done over, the last 20 some years is remarkably powerful at being able to pinpoint an unresolved emotional stressor in the body. And so you can start with, a low back pain or a neck pain or a headache or whatever body entry you want. And using this asking protocol and muscle testing can get right back to the original event of where that emotion was stored. And so the process is so the body will process emotions. It's actually the job. So do you know the meridian cycle, the meridian clock? Okay. So between 11 and 1, is the gallbladder, and the 1, and so in between 1 and 3 is the liver, and that's the end of the day. Between 3 and 5 is your lung, and that's the beginning of the day in the 5 element theory, in that Asian sort of cycle.
Is that why you start with breath work in the morning?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the next thing is 5 to 7 is a good time to go to the restroom because that's large intestine. And there's certain things you can relate to that. So the point I'm trying to make is that between 11 and 1, the gallbladder is basically taking the day and all of the emotions of the day, all the things that have happened during the day, and dissolving it into the blood. And then it's going to get shifted over to the liver. Now, this is always happening all the time, right? But there's peak times where these things happen on the clock, and it's quite interesting. And so between 1 and 3 a.m. is the liver. And the liver's job, it wants to detoxify the body, right? But it's also to process, it's to package, organize, and clear or store. So if we have a major emotional event in a day, and if the body can't fully process it, the liver is going to say, well, I got to store it somewhere. So it'll park it. It'll park it in itself. It'll park it in the leg. It'll park it in the back. It'll park it in the muscles. And then if it continuously doesn't get processed, then it'll tend to store up. And the most classic example of this is tight muscles. We'll walk around like this. Yeah. Or, and massage therapists will talk all day about this, right? The knots in people's muscles, especially the gluteal muscles. These are, if you just do some pressure point work on the gluteal muscle or the piriformis, and I've had like literally it'll bounce just with a little bit of pressure because the body's trying to release it, but it doesn't know how. It doesn't know if it's safe. So with the emotional work, you can come in and you can find it and you can help the body take it through extinction.
So how do you release it? Is there a specific way? Is it?
Yeah. Yes. Well, with Neuro Emotional Technique, you're using one of the meridian access points on the wrist, or there's actually an organ meridian access point as well, and a sequence of adjusting in the spine. Or you can use, so for example, the liver would be this point right here. They'll call the wood point. You would put a finger here and another hand on the forehead. And these are your prefrontal cortex points or your emotional points. And when we've actually created an isomorphic state back in time where that original event started, it actually sets up that same original pattern that you can clear this way. And people will say, oh my God, like my anger, just where'd it go? Like it just left. What was that? And it's just extinction in that system. It's extremely powerful, and it's a lot of fun to do.
It's crazy how energy works. And I was doing some qigong meditation stuff the other day, and it's kind of, he was doing some of that to release negative energy. And people probably think I'm a weirdo. I'm like walking around the neighborhood, like shaking it all out and doing crazy stuff. But is what you were talking about with the 1 to 3, the liver, I think you said, right? Holding that. Is that why when people are stressed and anxious about something, they wake up in the middle of the night and they're just thinking about everything and worried about it? Is that tied to the same thing?
So yes, in short, yes. And when someone will come in and say, oh, I always wake up at 2 a.m. with a headache, or I always wake up at 3 a.m., just kind of always wake up at the same time, always. Well, immediately I just start thinking, well, that's where we start. If it's 1 to 3, let's start the liver. If it's right around 3, let's go to liver or lung and just see what comes out of it. Lungs are about grief, liver is about anger. There's more to it, but those are generalizations.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So if I'm a listener and I'm loving everything you're saying, want to find more about you, what is one thing that you want that person to take away from today or take away with today?
I think that the one thing I would ask people to consider is to really realize that they don't really have any control other than the control of their decisions. That's really the only thing that we can control, is what we decide, our choices. And so if we're making choices that are hurting ourselves, if we're making choices that we feel like they're not in our best interest, then to consider to just choose again.
What if someone thinks they don't have a choice?
They should call me.
So it's funny we say this. My 16-year-old yesterday, I said for her to do something. She's like, I don't want to do that. And I was like, you need to do it. And she goes, well, you're the one that tells me that there's always a choice. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Don't use that against me right now. I'm like, because I have a choice to take your phone away too, and then you'll have to do it. But I think a lot of people fall into the victimhood mentality of what this society kind of trains us on and everything. So they feel like they don't have choices. I know I've been guilty of just feeling so tight and tense and trapped with too many decisions and all of the decisions we have to make. And when I give talks, I talk about how many thoughts we have and how many decisions we make throughout a day, and how if you just change 1% of your decisions to a better decision, your entire life can change with that tiny little percentage.
Yeah.
So with our listeners right now, just give me 3 things that they can incorporate into their day to help them release energy, step into who they are truly meant to be, or to make better decisions.
Start in the morning with drinking water. Hydrate. First thing is get some water in you. The second thing is get right with yourself and your higher self. I don't get out of bed in the morning until I know I don't get out of bed in the morning until I put my life in the hands of my higher self.
What do you mean by that?
I let my higher self guide my life and my decisions, and therefore my actions for the day. And when I let that go, it's just a little thing I say, you know what? I trust in your guidance. I'm going to let you make the decisions today. I'm going to let you decide my thoughts and actions. And when I resist that, help me remember to choose once again.
I feel like that would lift a lot of weight off of people's shoulders if...
Yes, it takes the responsibility off us and puts it onto our higher selves.
Interesting. How can people find you if they do want to learn more about what you do, your programs? Sure. Where do they find you?
Sure. So we do the Superconscious Recode every week. Actually, right now I'm doing 3 classes a week live on Zoom.
Oh, cool.
So they can find our offerings there on drschellenberg.com. SCHELLENBERG, right? It's a long one. drschellenberg.com. And if they're interested in our weight loss work, weightlossrecode.com is the best place to find us there. We do live webinars. We do recorded webinars coming up in the future as well. There'll be some recorded ones. Right now we do live ones. We go through the process. If one of the things that I absolutely love is just having conversations with people. And if people are like, man, I just really want to talk to this guy, call me. My cell phone, 701-866-8256. It's a Fargo number, 701, but I live in Florida. So just text me, and we'll set up a time to call. I love having meaningful conversations with people.
That's awesome.
It's part of my true nature and purpose in life is to help leave people in just a little bit better place they were before we met.
I like that. With being on the Life Well Balanced podcast, you had said something amazing yesterday. And so I want to ask you what your definition of a life well balanced is.
What did I say yesterday?
Something about fun.
No, I was going to say, a life well balanced is living a life you love, is creating and living and taking the action steps in the direction of the life that you love.
Like that.
And part of that for me is fun.
Yeah. You've been fun since I met you. It's like, I like hanging out with this guy. So
likewise. Yeah, absolutely.
Coming into the end, we do a speed round, and it's called Balanced or Unbalanced. And so I'm going to ask you a question. You're going to tell me if it's balanced or unbalanced. If you want to elaborate more, feel free. If we want to keep moving on, that's totally cool too. You ready? All right. Balanced or unbalanced? slowing down to create faster results, helping clients face truths they didn't ask for.
That's a tough one for me. You have a tendency to want to kick the door open and say, here.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that's unbalanced.
Okay.
Because my feeling is not everyone is ready for what we might think they're ready for. And the last thing I would want to do is to project onto someone. So I like to ask questions. And if they would like that, then let's go for it. If they say no,
always
then I
ask
honor
for
that.
permission.
I ask permission.
Okay.
Yeah. Can I share a quick story?
Of course you can.
Because my wife is brilliant. And she'll say, John, can I share something with you? And depending on my mood, I'll say no. And she'll share it anyways. You know what I'm talking about? And I do it just for fun because I'm like, we'll see. And sometimes she'll be like, okay. And I'm like, oh, it's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I need to hear it.
Balanced or unbalanced? Sitting with discomfort instead of fixing it.
Well, there's a reason why they're continually choosing their discomfort. Well, we'll just go ahead and call it unbalanced.
Okay. You want to say something?
Nah, it's good.
Mixing science with consciousness-based work.
Balance.
Living in inquiry rather than certainty.
Oh, I think you need both.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. And I think inquiry germinates certainty. So that's a trick question. I would discard that one.
Balanced or unbalanced, depending on.
Yeah, it depends.
Allowing the body to lead.
Balanced.
Acting like a different person before you become them.
Balanced if you're moving in the direction of the identity that you'd love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Unless you're becoming a DICK, right? I spell all my swear words now with the 2-year-old.
Yeah.
When I'm talking to adults, I'm just like, oh yeah, I can actually say this word. Letting awareness replace effort.
Balanced.
Balanced.
Yeah.
Believing the body holds memory.
Balanced.
Balanced or unbalanced? Coming on the Life Well Balanced podcast.
100% unbalanced.
Unbalanced.
Nah, I love it.
How do we balance
It's 100% balanced, man. It's 100% balanced. Love it. Love it.
This has been awesome. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you would like to put out there for our listeners to hear from you?
No, I think we've covered it. And thank you very much for the opportunity. Awesome questions, man.
Thank you.
Just put me on the spot. I love it. Thank you.
I knew this was going to be great.
Thank you. Me too.
Awesome. Thank you. The Life Well Balanced podcast is proudly supported by Cole PR Software Consultants. Cole PR helps small businesses, nonprofits, and government organizations bring their big ideas to life through custom software, AI-powered solutions, and seamless system integrations. Whether it's building smarter workflows, creating secure digital platforms, or scaling your technology with confidence, Cole PR combines global talent with practical delivery to make innovation accessible and affordable. Visit colePRSC.com to learn more about future-proof solutions built for today.